What's up, everyone? I want to thank you and welcome you to Living in the Private Q&A. We do this about every 2 weeks. We're live over on YouTube if you want to jump over there. Let me just make sure. Yeah, we are. Beautiful. Oh, crazy. What do you want to talk about first? Trump, the master. Can you believe that? Did y'all see the footage of everybody saying, "Hey, there's people on the roof over there"? Y'all saw that, right? Y'all saw the nature of how inept that Secret Service was. Did you see it? I did. When have you ever seen such disorganized Secret Service? So it's either optics, yeah, or I don't know. I don't know. Is everybody welcome? I want to thank you so much for joining. I think we are all learning a lot about our nation, what's going on. I think living in the private is becoming ever so important for us to realize how we got to be willing to stand firm on who we are. And thank you, Cindy. Blessings. Um, and just to get our minds wrapped around the coming events and what that looks like. We had a shot that was heard around the world yesterday or the day before, whatever it was. I did a I did a show, Man Cave 18, Man Cave Classified 18 with Carmel. Um, as normal, we have a lot of fun with one another. I encourage you guys to find it here on YouTube. It's also on HISAdvocates TV. You can download HISAdvocates TV right on your phone if you don't know this. And the VIP there is different than the VIP on HISadvocates.org. We are trying to tie them together. It takes work and an API that works. And so we're having some difficulty with getting that working. But the bottom line is if you're a VIP member, you just watch the VIP shows on hisadvocates.org or the town hall shows or whatever VIP event that we have. If you are trying to get the latest and greatest information and you want to get news sources and releases of information, we're getting His Advocates TV to a point where it's going to have the absolute best videos pertaining to private side living, also pertaining to information that we believe that people should be listening to and to get their minds wrapped around of really what's going on in the world. So it is very interesting, the optics that are being played right now. But man, I got to tell you something. I got to tell you, and y'all know I've never been like a outgoing, outward person for Trump. Y'all know that. It's not that I'm not a conservative. It's not that I am not uh, a a guy who wants to save his country. It's there's no other choices really. And the question is he a part of the optics or is he living in their optics? And is he a part of the knowledge of what was going to go down? Come on. Secret Service picking up his hat. They have routines set up where they run people off, get him protected with a shield, put a blanket over his head, run him the heck off. Say, nope. He was hands out, angry face, cussing and just putting him and like he had the and what was funny to me was all the bulletproof arms. Did you notice they were doing the Matrix routine? They were like holding their arms up like this. Oh, like their arm is the shield, like their arm could stop a 308, round, a rifle round. It just was so stupid. And they're like, okay, 1, 2, 3, let's go. And then nothing. And then okay, one more time, 1, 2, 3. I'm like, dude, this is a joke. I mean, it was so bad. It was like they hired the worst acting team possible for that event. And Trump capitalized on it. He capitalized on it, putting his fist. He was so real. He was so alive. God, I hope it was real, man. I do. And I don't know if it was ketchup, but that spray across his mouth, that was awesome. All of it. It was so cool just to realize, you know, wow, somebody took a shot at Donald Trump. And if you believe he's not a part of the narrative, like he's not a party to that system sold out, like, which I hope he's not. But if you believe he's not, that really rifled you up. I remember sitting there and I got emotional. Like I was watching and I'm like, I got really emotional because we're in our last chances as a nation. It's no longer funny, you know. It's no longer funny, crisis actors, exactly. It's no longer a joke. They're messing with our freedoms, they're messing with our hopes, they're messing with our lives, and we're watching this game play out. And if Trump's not in on it, he's got to do a better job running the show. Running the crisis actors, running these guys. He's got to do a better job. Hey, at least look like a real, you know, stand up and do a couple shots. At least act like you're defending. If you're cops, actually go and run over to see and look at the building to see if somebody's really crawling on the building. Trump supporters, holy crap, man. I was saying on the show yesterday, I'm like, dude, I would, those Trump supporters, they're crazy. I mean, go rush in the Capitol like that? No, they didn't. They got invited in. Anyway, January 6th, if y'all don't know, they were invited in. We have video footage of it. Come on in, back door. Let's show you around. There's no reason why anybody should have been arrested for that event. But this crisis acting that happened a couple days ago, in my opinion, there's some zealots out there, some Trumpers, man. I mean, I would have liked my Trump black card. And think about it. You save Trump's life. You climb up on that building, you do a choke out, you save his life because he doesn't have his head blown off. You may get involved in it, though. You may get your head blown off. But imagine getting up there, saving Trump. Oh, man. First class anywhere you go for the rest of your life. He's going to bring you up before everybody. You're going to get your patch, your little Cub Scout patch, Trumper. Yeah, that's pretty cool, huh? Yeah, I know you believe it. What do we do, guys? I mean, come on, dude. It's crazy. Anyway, if y'all don't know, what we try to do here is we welcome living in the private members who are going through it with us. And we welcome new living in the private members that are potentially thinking about it and or have made a decision and they have questions and they want to learn. So we on the bottom here, you'll see a Q&A. And Secret Service fake. Yeah, I hope Trump's real, Secret Service fake. And there are a lot of people prophesying on Trump that would get shot in the air, and those same prophets didn't get other prophecies right. And prophets are being used today as optics to gain. I mean, think about it. Think about it. If I knew I had a prophecy, and I hope Trump's real, and I hope the bullet wound is real. I really do. Because they just guaranteed him getting in. You're going to have thousands of people around all the voting stations because of this. Thousands. You think they're going to get away with fake voting this year? I don't know. Trump could be getting it. I mean, he just switched his position. Never, I'm going to do anything on digital currency. To yeah, I'm going to do it. I want you to think about that for a sec. No, see, central bank digital currency for us, but no, we're going to do it now. So I don't know. That doesn't mean much other than maybe you learn the good nature of what could actually happen with digital currency. I don't know. But I think it's digital currency overall. I'm going to ride the back of it all day long. But at the same time, I'm going to be very careful with understanding how to live in that realm of public versus private. So what's up, Brian? I called you back, dude. Left a message. Anyway, what's up, Carrie? Carrie's a warrior. She's a woman. Oh, by the way, yesterday, I'm going to do the challenge right now again. I'm 295 pounds, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. The challenge, and this is with full respect, all love, no making fun, just is what it is. That if a female or woman born with female parts still with female parts, not on steroids, that can come with a birth certificate and has no current testicles, and pick me up and carry me for 20 feet and put me down nicely, I will give $1,000 to you. I'm not trying to offend anybody. I just got a point to prove. And it's that I'm a guy, I'm stronger, and it's okay. And you're a woman, and it's strength isn't necessarily the issue. We have so many things going on in this world trying to prove this, trying to prove that. And everybody wants to believe this certain narrative about themselves. Why don't we just live in the realm that God created us and just love one another and respect each other's equalities, gifts, ideas, whatever it is, and stop thinking we have to do this thing? Because we were on this conversation yesterday, Carmel and I, and it got funny, a little bit. And I stupidly gave that. And Carmel thinks I'm going to win. Of course I'm going to win. You're going to have to be buffed out, steroided up, you know, identifying as a woman to be able to pull it off. I couldn't even pick a guy like me up. Well, I probably could, but it would be tough just to walk 20 feet with a guy as heavy as me with lifting my whole adult life. And some of these careers like fire department, like military, no offense, I don't think women should be on the front lines. It doesn't mean I don't believe in your abilities. It just means I don't think you have the same ability as a man on the front line to be able to carry a soldier off the field. That's all I'm saying. There's a detriment to that element, not necessarily an attribute. Now, a woman in a plane, oh, all day, you'll smoke them. Will you make a different decision than a man? I doubt it very much. There's been women pilots that have proven themselves to be well beyond better pilots than men, and you're also smaller, so you fit in the cockpit better. I can't fit in a Lambo. I can't fit in a Ferrari. I can't fit in a cockpit of any plane, like a fighter jet. There's just things that we have to consider about one another, and it's stupid for us to think that we can do each other's job. Now, Carrie, you might be able to pick me up and carry me 20 feet. I'm not saying you're a bullish man. I'm just saying you might have enough grit, and it's going to take some grit, it's going to take that fortitude. So who knows? Anyway, let's get to some questions, guys. I want to thank you for jumping on, hanging on, and walking through with me to have some fun. All right, first question, Lisa. If you have an LLC, can you create a foundation with the same or similar name, such as ABC LLC becomes ABC Foundation, and then dissolve the LLC and operate solely under the foundation? Yes, people do it all day long. And you can also understand that the foundation can meld with the LLC, and do things in the private, or the LLC can do things in the public. And there are some things to consider in that regard. We just got off the phone with a cryptocurrency coin company. I'm not going to say their name. The owner's going to come into the private. And I said, look, you can create a UBT, unincorporated business trust, for your coins. And I said, use Coinbase. Coinbase basically told the LLC, told the SEC to go pound sand, because they know the blockchain is private and not public, and they don't have any access or rights to access something that is private, where no legislation has been created over to give a jurisdiction over, or proof that jurisdiction's been given over the blockchain. So I'm like, do the same thing. You could do this for your members, making it so there's a private membership association, and there's nobody under any jurisdiction anywhere that will be able to touch that membership or whatever's in that member's coin box or exchange account, whatever. So yes, you can meld them together. Would it be easier than changing the ownership of the LLC to the foundation? If that's easier, do you have to notify any existing or new customers of the change in the entity from the LLC? You do not have a requirement to notify. The nuances of your question are as such. Sometimes there's legislation that requires, a license. And so you have like I have a broker's license, and it's attached to a C Corp. And now, as a company registered with the DRE with my license as the final say, that C Corp can go do loans under its name and hire people and have certain rights and privileges to say certain things on the floor from a licensing standpoint regarding real estate. Well, So the question is, Lisa, what is real estate? There's something very similar to real estate called land. Do I need to have a real estate license to sell land? No, no. Do I need a residential loan license to sell loans? No, no. But if I want to use public funds like bank funds, if I want to use, uh, you know, MLS, if I want to use residential loan agreements, residential sales agreements, and put that property online, then yeah, I do. But the reality is, even as a broker, real estate broker, you can put a transaction through the MLS, and at the time of funding, I can say X goes to that sales rep, X goes to that foundation, X goes to that sales rep, and I'm done and I'm out. And nobody's filing anything. And even if somebody were, meaning an escrow to file a 1099 to the foundation, to be no requirement for the foundation to file a tax or to pay a tax. And so my point being, a foundation, which everything in this world, bottom line, whether people want to agree with this or not, I don't give a crap, belongs to God. And I mean that. It was paid for on the cross. So if you read Revelations 5, to get biblical on you a little bit, um, you're going to see that Christ paid for everything on the earth, not just people's souls. Okay. And so the devil, if you believe in this, I do personally, um, flip the narrative because Christ owns the land and the people. So the devil had to create everything artificial. And so what you would normally have as being private is now public or a registered entity. So like your public equivalent's your birth certificate. Your public equivalent of a business that you could have as a private would be a foundation. The public is an S corp, C corp, LLC. And knowing that, public and private meld together all the time. So it just depends on the structure. Do you need to hang a license with your LLC? If the answer is no, okay. Are you insuring anything in the name of the LLC that you need to prove to gain a government contract? The answer is no. Okay. There's really no need for these types of corporations. And even if you kept the corporation, those corporations are largely designed to bleed out. So the pass-through income will end up going to an individual or a foundation. And this entity files its return with a zero tax liability. You don't have to file a return as a foundation with a zero tax liability because you're exempt to start with. And listen to me, listen, 100% lawful, 100% legal, and there's nothing they can do about it. Why? Because it's not registered. And let me explain something to you guys: the power of public and private. If you could just swallow this one pill and grab onto this one thing, they don't have jurisdiction what doesn't belong to them. Period. Why do you think they're doing what they're doing with the? Why do you? Because they're adversely. You've signed over legal, you know, tenure over your body through a birth certificate and holding jobs and with the United States called employee. You're a citizen, voter, uh, you know, driver. You have all these jobs with the United States corporation, and you need to fulfill them. And with those jobs come statute codes and ordinances. Now, imagine being able to operate in the private with an unregistered private entity. You cancel all the employment contracts. You keep a couple of them open. Look, I just explained this to an attorney 2 hours ago, and he got it. And you know what? It's important that that bridge starts happening. We don't need to be in arguments with attorneys. We need to use their talent and their connections to bring what is now public and owned by a bankrupted, defaulted company called the United States, which includes you as an asset and not a creditor, an asset of the bankruptcy, the liability. Why? Because you agreed to it on an adhesion trust somewhere. And once you get your mind wrapped around it, we're switching you from the liability to the beneficial interest on the BC. We're switching you from the liability to the to the beneficial interest on the SSA docs, Social Security administrative docs. And we're canceling any presumptive agreements between the parties using an administrative fault and defaulting process, which creates a court of record that by acquiescence is accepted. And then you take it, put it into the public, along with all the other docs that we create for you. And eventually you have put on this bulletproof vest, and it's level 5 Kevlar out of 5. Because the only way, and I explained this to my client, the coin owner, just a couple hours ago with the attorney on the phone, that the only way they are granted subject matter jurisdiction is dealing with holding offices, dealing with checking personal mail. Kelly, wait a minute. How does checking personal mail grant jurisdiction to the United States? Because they own the name. You're BC. Mother gave it to them. They put it in the public and said, anybody come and stake a claim? Nobody did. They then monetized it. It's a corporation, Siskatavy Trust, to be exact. And they make money on your name and your life equivalent. Fact, Jack, no doubt. You know what I told this guy? I said, because he's a securities attorney. He sues the SEC. I love attorneys that sue the SEC. Anybody that goes after the federal government, he protects large interest clients. I told him, guess what? I said, every country called company in the world registers all their BCs through the SEC. He said, what? And I told him again, I'm like, every country in the world, go look this up. Australia Republic is registered under the SEC, and all their birth certificates are placed under the SEC for trading. And guess what? The IMF gives them loans in large, large amounts. And it even says it in the dang Bible, the deals that the whore will make with the kings of the world. It even says it. It's so cool how accurate this kind of stuff is and what it's becoming. So on that note, public versus private, it's nothing could be more pure, more simple than that. So the question is, what are the elements of private? Do you need to do the whole living in the private? And my answer would be, of course, yes. And that's the only reason why we created it. And so I always tell people, look, we looked at warrants, indictments, things that gain subject matter jurisdiction. Everybody starts freaking out. Why do you need to do that? If we're becoming a state citizen and everything is fine, why are you concerned about indictments? I'm not. I'm looking at how they gain subject matter jurisdiction. Don't y'all want to be left alone? If you do, stay away from using the name. Stay away from receiving personal mail in the name. Stay away from accounts that are personal with that name. Stay away from opening up exchange, stock, personal accounts with that name. Don't receive mail in that name anymore. What happens if you don't? Well, if you do a removal of the office of the person, you're saying, I quit. Don't want to receive mail in that name anymore. If you do a removal of the box of your mailbox, not necessary. Calm down, all you mailbox lovers. It's okay. I got you. But there's some of you that don't understand the implication of having a mailbox that's owned by the United States, property of the United States, put into your ground of your property. See, they get you because they're depositing all these little ways of having jurisdiction over you, over your life. It's just like the county recorder versus registrar. They want you to register all your grantees. So they stop telling you to witness it as a grantee. They got it put into a joint tenant. They got you buying air. They got you using the all caps name, their name, and using Federal Reserve notes, something that they own and control. Hello. Of course you're registering it. You're giving a down payment, you're giving them the land. What a con. Why isn't title utilizing a different method to recordation? Fee simple, absolute title. Why aren't they using meets and bounds? What's the issue with why do you gotta be a tenant? I don't care if there's a loan against it. I'm the owner. They want to foreclose, they can foreclose. But I'm the owner. Why would I be a tenant? Why would I want a legal description above land? Why would I want that? We fail for a lack of knowledge. And where you literally have a recorder, public voted for recorder, and a registrar, same guy, same position. One is allegiance to the corporation, grabbing as many assets as he can. Another one is simply putting something into the public. Well, isn't that special? You know, and I'm sorry, man. We all fell for it. I fell for it. I was a lender. I was a broker. I am, broker. I fell for it. Sorry. No big deal. I'll figure it out. But that's the reality for us is we're all failing for simple things, misunderstanding of words, word play, misunderstanding of agreements, agreement play. The only thing this ministry has done is we have figured it out. And we know how to privatize people. And we're getting some very, very astute, smart people who know their butts from a hole in the ground. And they understand that a lot of that rhetoric that's already been given in their past by somebody else, American national, state national of the United States. Those are all things that are wordplay by the United States to keep you in their jurisdiction. But all those videos have millions of people watching them. And the algorithms get out to the masses. And you get passports because you, again, alleged yourself to the United States and you don't realize it. So we fail for lack of knowledge in many different respects. So the living in the private deals with giving you the ability to operate in commerce, private trust, private foundation. By the way, I'm itching. My beard is long. This is the period I cut it off every time I can't get it past this point. I know y'all don't care. So when you start to realize what is their ability to get a warrant over you, and then you do the living in the private and you say, okay, that's why we do this one, that's why we do this one, and this is quitting this, and this is quitting this, and this is quitting this, and this is putting me in proper standing, and this is giving the proper notices, and this you realize for yourself, I get it. Now look, I'm going to be very, very respectful with what I'm about to say. We don't have any issues as an entity or as an entity with its members. We love the members and the members don't get door knocks. Now, I'm not going to say they're not going to try to snipe somebody's head off or play some acting game out there to make it look bad at one point in the future. But look, anybody that wants to go, send an email to support@HISAdvocates.org and we'll give you some documents that you can review. We give you 72 pages of docs to consider that are Supreme Court, both state and federal, allowing for the state citizens and what it means dealing with the taxation, dealing with every element of state citizenship. And that was just ones we found, and those are for the most part shepherdized. And if you're interested, support@HISadvocates.org, and we'll send you a guide to kind of review and read for yourself. But where the state national is not in there anywhere, it's state citizen. People say you never want to be a citizen. Shut up. Just shut up. It's kind of true, but you're not understanding law. Let me explain. If I create a set of documents and they're my documents or a contract, which an explanatory statement and a DS-11, it's a contract. So if I change that contract and make that contract so it's without the United States, without the United States Post Office, without agreements to any of those entities. And I say, I'm not a US citizen. And I say, I am a State of the Union citizen. And I invoke the jurisdiction of Supreme Court rulings over the contract. Guess what? I could, as a citizen of a state, do you know what you really are? Child of God. You're one of the people. Now, let me break it down so you understand. State, dual meanings. Go open your Black's Law, everybody. Go look at the definition of state. Some lowercase definition of state. It's a state of being. It is a state of being. That's why we created the show, State of Being. State of being is what? It's a body of people. That's the literal definition of Black's Law, lowercase state. It's a body of people. So the same definition for the corporate state, the all cap, is a community of persons. What are persons versus what is people? Do you find people anywhere in United States code? No. You find persons, natural and artificial. Even natural can be construed as corporations. The games that these people play are atrocious. So my goal is to try to teach people that, yeah, we're doing the worst case scenario. We're looking at trying to make sure everybody's free, trying to make sure that there's no way they can come and clip you. Don't think for a second you're going to be able to rape somebody, because they're going to come under a different law and be able to preside you over a grand jury, make a formal blue indictment, and make sure that you understand you're not getting away with it. Even as a state citizen, you are accountable to things when you hurt other people. I'm just saying, so you don't think you're getting out of playing games. As a matter of fact, there's more responsibility as a state citizen than there will ever be. To be in republic directly under God is way more responsibility. So on that note, when you're making your allegiance to God as a state citizen, you're literally saying he is king, because that's what the Declaration of Independence says. He's the sovereign, he's the king. And you're saying you were under him directly. You're not saying you're under some mythical voodoo, whatever, Krishna thing. You're under the Elohim, the God, the sovereign of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And when you start to understand the power of what you're doing, you're actually coming directly out of every employment contract, every rule, by one word: allegiance. See, you can have allegiance to the whore, or you can have allegiance to God. And if you have allegiance to the whore, you will get the punishment of what the whore is going to be given. Revelations 18:4. If you have allegiance to God and you pull out all things that you now will give back to God and be fiduciary over, because you can't own anything on this earth. If you think you can, just die and see how much of it comes with you. You feel me? God is forever. There is coming a point where we will live in immortal bodies and reign with God. But for now, you will be perished. You are guaranteed to die. Stop thinking you can take it with you. And when you get that mentality going and you put it into a private foundation, unregistered, unincorporated church belonging to the Elohim, beneficial interest being Yeshua, and you being the executive director over, that thing bypasses probate. It can bypass state and property taxes. It can bypass. Those things are work, though. Those things have to be fought for. But there are people that have had success and are fighting for it. It's not easy. I'm not saying that the whore is just going to let people go. We do the DS-11. They fight to keep you in. Response: no, you can't do this. Response: no, you can't do it. Oh, passport. Oh, I guess you can do it. So you have to get yourself free. Then you got to deal with those jobs that you got. You went and you hookered yourself out. You became a lowly driver, a lowly employee for a bankrupted corporation. Seriously, I'm making fun. Yeah, but it's true. And literally walked into being the debtor for a company that's been in bankruptcy since 1933. Do you think full disclosure was done? No. So I get it. People don't know why they fail for a lack of knowledge, and it's because they're not giving disclosure and we're not researching things before we just sign everything up. The United States is different than the United States of America, period. The United States is a corporation, period. Title 28, Section 3002. The United States cannot extend anywhere its boundaries unless it's contractually been agreed to by the people. UCC 307H. Exclusive jurisdiction of the United States is the District of Columbia. So anything outside of the District of Columbia, it has to be something where the state gave them permission to have a federal territory on. Now, that doesn't mean that blanket that you see them federal territory entirely over every region of the United States. That's not the way it works. It's the buildings, it's areas. And so you can go to the state of Texas and you can take a look at what's been conveyed and then start asking yourself, is this a lawful conveyance? Unlawful conveyance, number one. Number two, if it's a lawful conveyance, what is it? It's probably a school, it's probably a federal building, probably a state building. So those are the only places that the United States exists. Guess where else it exists? 1 square foot of your house, the mailbox. Property of the United States of America. Wait a minute. Could they get jurisdiction over me just for going and opening that box and closing it and reviewing personal mail? Yes. It's a job. You're holding it and you're exercising the office of the artificial person, proving you work for the United States. Yes. Now, if that same box had no contract with you, and that same box were to get mail in the name of, I don't know, a private unregistered foundation, there would be no jurisdiction granted over receiving mail because they don't own the foundation. They don't have jurisdiction over the foundation. None of that. So these are important principles to get our mind wrapped around. And this is critical to learn how they nailed you and how they have subject matter jurisdiction. And there's a lot of people that, especially in the federal government, that we really need to wake up with this because they will say it's one of those sovereign citizens. No, I'm not a sovereign citizen. It's one of those sovereign people. I don't believe I'm sovereign. I know the law says I am, but I fall every time I try to walk on water. I don't think in that realm, but it's okay if you want to call me a sovereign. I could see that, as a child of God, I guess I am. In law, I guess I am. But out of respect to the Elohim, I'm going to give him credence where credence is due. And I'm going to let that one lie. But I'm looking at this in the eyes of our rights to contract with anybody. That's the Constitution. Constitution is the highest form of law in the land. Is it? Is it? Well, that's what it says it is. God's law is the highest form of law in the land. Constitution says that man's right to contract is absolute and that there's no higher contract than a man's right to contract. So if you, as a man or woman, decide to make a bet with me to pick me up for the women only and carry me 20 feet, you will be rewarded $1,000. And you will also be known as Helga for the rest of your life. Okay? My cat, it's absolute in my right to contract with anybody I want. You are absolute in your right to contract with anybody you want. And that includes all those little job positions, employment, voters, everything with the United States. And you know what comes with a job? Ordinances, statutes, codes. Isn't that interesting? And so we have to consider those things as we're engaging in our rights to contract. We want to make sure that we're protecting ourselves. So if you guys got questions, make sure you put them under the Q&A. It's easier for me to function instead of reading up and down the comment section, even though I will. You okay, kitty? It's clawing on the bottom of her box for some reason. Anyway, all right, let me get to the next one. Once I change ownership of the LLC to my foundation, can the revenue go straight into the foundation bank account? Yes. Or do I need the revenue to go into the LLC bank account and then donate it to the foundation? You do either one, but there's no need to function through an LLC if you're doing quote unquote business as a foundation. Next question. When the foundation owns the LLC, are there any disclaimers that need to be on the website letting potential customers know? Only if you're trying to make the customers members of the foundation. Otherwise, the foundation would own the LLC and the LLC doesn't have to change anything on the website other than standard TOS terms of services. And if so, what should it say? I can't really tell you here. You can go to my website, HISAdvocates.org, and kind of review what we've done in the extreme on the bottom of every single page. And for terms of services, once you come aboard, you can go read our terms of services. If a foundation owns the LLC, does the LLC still need to file its own taxes? Of course it does. It's a registered entity. I have sent the next question. I've sent the registered mail, removal of the office of the person, and they should have received it. Okay. Most of my mail has stopped, and I have changed many of the vendors to my UPS box. I live in a gated community, and my mailbox is attached to another neighbor, so likely the hood of it being removed is slim. Past recommendation from someone who was to use a stamp says return to sender. No such person exists. I have one of those right here. Anyway, can I leave them a note asking them to not leave any more mail? Yeah, absolutely. And I dealt with that, and it's up to the mailbox delivery guy who has the route. I've come to find out. So even though we've stopped mail, sometimes stuff sneaks by, and I just, if it's a friend or family member, I open it up, take a picture, any kind of mail, take a picture, close it, return it to sender. No such person exists. Why? Because the United States Postmaster cannot say that he knows that somebody at this address with this name exists. You just don't want that, because that is just a layer of Kevlar you want to keep control of, because it's his job to know who is operating in the office of the person, the postmaster. And so just consider that. But when you're done, even though you receive mail and you're done and you've now see, like for me, here's a cool thing. They wouldn't stop delivering to my office. I said, okay. So I got some super glue and I sealed the thing shut. Then I took off the numbers on the door and then I put storage on the door. I'm just coming up with ideas that I did for myself, and it's pretty cool. And I've even had the fire department knock on the door and knock on the door and knock on the door, never letting them in, never coming back. And for all they know, it says storage. And that's just what they got to understand. But they're looking at their own little paperwork and it says, unit number, da 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 da. And there's no follow through. But even if I were to run into them on the spot, I would just say it's storage. It's not a business, which is true. And because there is no business and it's just where I store stuff. So just FYI. But yeah, when you're done, Jamie, we'll do another removal of the office of the person for you one more time, just so that after, because that's the hardest part about this whole stupid game that we're playing, is convincing all these other people to not mail you and to mail the foundation name. That's just the difficult portion of the whole thing. And it's a learning curve for people to accept that, but it's go read a warrant, go read an indictment, you'll understand. Next question for foundations. I know that you recommended we make for crypto holders after we sell all of our crypto to the foundation. Are the foundations we make with you usually offshore private foundations when people go through this process? Like, what's an estimate percentage of people who bought foundations who did them offshore versus foundation? We do foundations. Our foundations are international. People all over the world use our foundations. They're private and unincorporated, whether here or in Puerto Rico or in Zimbabwe or Australia, you're going to, do an address change. If you're in Australia, we can do a foundation for you just with whatever address you have out there. They're international. The percentage of them, it's probably less than 10%, but we have people all over the world using foundations. And by the way, anything outside of the District of Columbia is outside of the United States, just FYI. So next question. When it comes to taking crypto profits in a private foundation via Caleb and Brown, you taking crypto profits in a private foundation via Caleb and Brown, you meeting foundation taxes. It's not a question. So you have to pay taxes to take profits with Caleb and Brown. No, you don't, not in a foundation. And also pay yearly to maintain the foundation. You do not have to pay anybody to maintain the foundation. We want to put all the foundation money into our own personal IUL. That is a mistake, Eva. I know what an IUL is, and there's no benefit for a state citizen to have one. There's only benefit, and every life insurance agent is going to drop their freaking marbles when they hear me say what I'm about to say. An IUL is for a U.S. citizen trying to utilize the tax code and a life insurance policy to draw money tax-free for themselves. There is no need for a state citizen to have an IUL to do this because a state citizen is tax exempt and a foundation is tax exempt. Therefore, any monies derived that are received into the foundation do not need to ever have a return filed on them. Number one. Number two, anytime you were to get a 1099 from Caleb and Brown to the foundation or from any other entity, the foundation still has no obligation to file a return. It is not a party to the United States. Do you understand why they are freaking out about public versus private? The next step, if anything, will be the banks to try to shut down the ability for you to have an unregistered entity with a bank account, but they can't do that currently. IRS revocation, first letter I sent, it was not received, supposedly. Sure. Should I redate, renotarize, etc.? Yeah, play games back, Jamie. You can afford. I think I answered you. I don't know if it was you or somebody else, but play games back. Make 5 photocopies, 5 addresses, 5 certified mails, dump them all, and you'll get 4 back, and they're going to be they see these letters come in, they don't want to respond to them, they don't want to accept them. It's more prevalent than it's 3-4% now. It's crazy. So they want to play that game, unload the full revolver on them. You know what I mean? Next question. How will we transfer Ripple private shares? They'll be publicly traded in the near future. NASDAQ is already on it. We bought as an individual. Talk to your CPA about donating them to a foundation. Same queue for assets. Same question for assets bought on Lobster Wallet that haven't been turned on yet. Lobster equals exchange built on Stellar Lumens. What tokenizes everything and lets you buy crypto like Stronghold, SHS, X, and Velo. Same. You can donate them. If it were me, the faster you donate them into your foundation at the current market values, the better. Did you understand what I meant by that? Just saying. Kathleen, how does one handle unemployment application since there is no way to correct the language? It's done NY voice over the phone or online application that can be edited. Great question. So as a person looking at a governmental contract for benefit, it's doable. Are you living free? Are you relying on a system holding another office called unemployment? So you have to consider the application from a standpoint of how do I do this without contracting, but still yield the benefit? And the only way to do that is if You have the application in front of you where it's physical, tangible, non-digital. You can sign it non-assumptive. And if you have the application on a digital format, you can sign that non-assumptive. Um, and basically non-assumptive is no contract. And therefore, if the benefit is still given without a tacit consent agreement in place with you, it's their willingness to work with you in that capacity. Now, over the phone, some other way, it's a different story. There really is no contract there. But for all living in the private members that are worried about dangling agreements, we have a generic addition to the living in the private program that at the very end, you just take this generic and put any name and address you want on it with the application number or the policy number or the account number. And the application says something to the degree that when we originally took the application, it asked a question about what we thought we were as a United States citizen. We just wanted you to know we're proud state citizens and of the United States of America. And we ask that you annex this as a permanent fixture to our application. They don't know what to do with that, so they just put it with your application and file it. And guess what happens? That's now something. If jurisdiction was trying to get granted over you, that'd be one of the things they would pull. They don't pull whether you have an ID. They don't pull your passport. They don't pull, oh, he's got an E-Trade account. They actually pull the applications to see if jurisdiction is granted because of your own omission or admission, excuse me. And so you have a correction to the original application annexed, and that's good enough. All right, next question. Still learning. You have touched on this, but I am trying to understand exactly. We are about to close on our first personal property. What is the best way to take title? Okay, so great question. My question back to you before I answer is there a loan on it? There's a loan on it. You're not taking title in any way but the way the lender wants you to take it, which is going to be joint tenants in common. If I would try to ask them for fee simple and they're going to laugh, but don't worry about it. Just do whatever the lender wants you to do for now. After it closes, if you're in the living in the private program, because it takes support for a grand deed, we will help you do a grand deed in your state. It depends on your state. Some states require you to fill out extra forms and you can fight them on it or you can do it. Some states are retarded, but for the most part, they will all accept the grand deeds and record them the way that we do, which is old school style, by gold, by hand, fee simple, meets and bounds, with a grantee acceptance in the name of a foundation. 6 points that you got to cover that are not currently on deeds. You're talking to somebody who's recorded thousands of deeds, and been a party to that. I really understand that game and that element. And God's really opened up a lot of doors for us. I think it's time we're going to reclaim what belongs to Him and start moving a lot of stuff back into the private. But that's just me. Have you heard of Bank Act of 2025? Yes, signed last month. Supposedly, this is only for Canada. Supposedly, I haven't found anything for the United States, but yes, for Canada. I have not seen anything relating to the United States. And if you go look it up, you're going to see some interviews done in Canada only. But isn't that interesting what it means? And I did a posting in our blog section regarding that. So do with it what you will. I think it's going to be universal eventually. Anyway, Eva, hello. My intention for dumping foundation crypto profits into my future IUL is for wealth protection, like how the Rockefellers did, and appreciation of stock markets, that IUL grows as the stock market grows. I hear you. Also know that there's jurisdiction over those IULs, and they're generally done in the registered organization name. And my feeling is, And I hear you 100%. You make sense. I'm not saying you don't. But if I were a United States citizen and I were under their jurisdiction, I would not have anything in my name, the registered organization name, of any degree of any kind of asset whatsoever, unless I foreclosed on and did a quiet title on the birth certificate and bankrupted um, their ability to be able to use it again. There would be no way I would hold an asset in the name of a failed entity that is the collateral for here. Just so you understand, the United States is bankrupt. The stockholders beneficial interest in slash employees are the United States citizens slash birth certificates. Any assets that those BCs hold will eventually be given over to the bankruptcy when they do this wash into the new exchange system. You're going to watch people get burned out of millions and billions and trillions of dollars on a national basis. You're going to see it happen. They've been testing the grounds on this all over the world, and this country is the last to hold out. So, on that note, just be careful. If it were me, I would have them in the name of a foundation, an entity they have no jurisdiction over. I'm not worried about wealth appreciation. If my the ownership of those funds were in a say an exchange account that were in the name of the foundation, because it's really going to be the crypto coins that go through the roof, not stocks. I know Ripple will be a good stock to have. I know Coinbase will be a good stock to have, but I know for a fact the coins that we've picked and talked about for the last several years are going to go through the roof. And I want to make sure those coins are owned by a foundation in a foundation exchange or bank account. You know what I mean? But based on your response, you deem IULs as dangerous for crypto foundation holders. I don't deem them as dangerous in general. I think they're a fantastic idea for a US citizen. I think it's absolutely unnecessary for a state citizen. I think state citizens are already tax exempt. There's no need to protect anything. There's no need to privatize it, from a standpoint of putting it in an IUL. There's no need to worry about how you loan yourself money tax free. None of that stuff. I think that insurance companies, banks in large, are going to collapse. Period. When the system changes, there's going to be such a liquidity issue. It's only going to be companies like Ripple that are going to pull through the other side and get automatically revalued up to X because the banks own 98.5% of Ripple or of the XRP token. And you're going to watch that coin go through the roof overnight. So there would be liquidity to move the trillions a day necessary to do cross-border payment solutions, bank to bank, worldwide transactions. XRP, XDC, all 20022 compliant companies. Overall, if I were a US citizen, I would have huge IUL accounts, but there's no need for me. I'm tax exempt. So I say that with respect. In regards to real property tax exemptions with signing of all applications, not a subset, would that be the way to get benefits without granting them jurisdictions? No. So tax exemption on real property would be having the property in the name of an exempt organization, like a foundation, number one, church. And that's the start. And there's a fight on your hands. 501c3s are naturally exempt in property taxes if the property is owned by the 501c3. Well, any exempt organization, any church, is by nature exempt from taxation by a county recorder's office for property tax. The question isn't signing not a subset or no contract. The question is how do you have them pull it off the rolls? And so is it an application? Is it selling the property, not recording the new deed? There's a lot of different ways to accomplish it, but it's going to be a little bit of a fight, if not a big fight. So I want to be clear about that, but I am down with trying to help anybody in that fight and learning about the best ways to approach it. I think we've already designed a couple of really good ways. There are people that have effectually done it, but the reality is what do you do when you don't record that new deed? What happens? They just Who are they charging tax to? Those are all real questions that in a long term may be very beneficial, and there may be some more fight down the road. But I want people to be very clear that anything recorded in the name of a foundation and done in a proper recordation style is exempt from taxes. Doesn't mean you're not going to get a bill and you're not going to have to fight for it. What is the best way to convert the property description to meets and bounds in order to transfer into my foundation? I have a deed template from HISA. Land is free and clear. Property is platted subdivision, 10-acre tracts. I own 2 of them. So the plot maps might be enough. But the best way, if you don't have an exact description of those 2 areas that you own, the best way would be able to get a land survey and just pay the 1,500, the $2,000, whatever it is, and get a land survey. And that's your meets and bounds you're going to put into your dealio. What? So IUL is a bad idea? Didn't say that. It's a good idea for a U.S. citizen that's worried about tax. They always tell us it's good in long life insurance. I believe in life insurance, 100%. I think taking the onus off of a, a man or a woman when their spouse has died and the worry, I think is an important thing. I'm not adverse to life insurance. I think it'd be maybe cheaper to do a term insurance policy over a long-term period, especially these days because of what we know is going on in the world. But investing in a life insurance policy for the purposes of tax savings, tax deferment, I think it's a great idea if you are a United States citizen. It's a horrible idea if you're a state citizen. Next question. Because a state citizen's exempt, has no need. I sent the last 5 active state notices. Somebody is free. I showed the delivery to the UPS online tracking. I did receive back 3 of the green cards, but still to show them pre-shipment returned to Associated UPS. Well, should I be concerned? Send them again. No need to be concerned, but send them again. Make sure you dot your I's and cross your T's. With foundations, we don't have to worry about loaning money to individual ourselves or even paying ourselves like we would have had to if we got IULs. Okay, noted. So what makes me tax exempt? Foundation established. I haven't become an official state citizen yet. That's a great question. Listen, Eva, this is a common misnomer for people. They think tax exemption has to be done on a personal status basis, and that's incorrect. It's part of it. But the reality is, the IRS has jurisdiction of their ability to sign on your behalf. That's one element of jurisdiction over you. Second element of jurisdiction is you keep giving them new contracts called 1040s, W4s, W9s, saying you want to party with them. And if you were to go to the IRS and say, file a notice of status, a notice of removal of signature from all documents with the IRS, and a revocation of election as a state citizen, you would be done. You would file a final return, and you would have no more returns that you would ever have to file as a U.S. citizen. However, they still have jurisdiction over you. So why not take the extra effort and get a passport done with acknowledgement? Right? Do you really want to be the surety still? But the reason why I'm answering you so honestly is it's true. The IRS is built into their own code for citizens, both of the United States and of the United States of America, that you can revoke the election to pay taxes within their own code. So by revoking the election, removing the signature, doing a notice of status, and doing a passport, it would be sufficient to never have to file a return again. What if you have an LLC but want to invest in crypto, but it hasn't gotten started yet because the person is stuck on thinking how to pay taxes after profits? Tell them to shut up, bite down, purchase, and get it into the foundation. So all you would basically do is buy the crypto yourself, donate it to the foundation now before it yields profits, um, or buy it with the foundation and put it on a device you purchase with the foundation. So therefore, you have your crypto in your hand, purchased by the foundation, and in a ledger wallet that's owned by the foundation. Taxes are moot. Eric, I'm going to allow you to talk. I see your hand raised. I have asked to unmute you, so it's open to you. Can you hear me? Earl, can you hear me? Earl, Earl. Okay. I'm going to remove permission to talk. Go ahead and raise your hand again when you think you're ready to talk. All right, I'm looking over in the comments section. All right, Eva already answered that. No, James, the spooky cat wasn't haunting me. It was making that kind of noise that throws you off your thought process. So, yeah, I'm one of those guys that when I get into thinking through something and answering something, I'm in full motion focus and you know anything can throw it off. Anyway, um questions should okay, one more in the Q&A. Again, just post your questions to the Q&A. Is there an alternative for Caleb and Brown? Yeah, you can use Kraken. I would try Kraken. We had a relationship with Caleb and Brown, and they were opening up left and right. And it just depends on the rep you get over there, guys. It's that way. I don't know why, but there was like four different exchanges that you can, and this is 2 years ago, and I just haven't had a need. So maybe we need to put a blog together for all of us to talk through openly about the best ones to open up foundation accounts with. We just don't have a real big need. We kept referring people off, and about 50% would get through, and 50% would get pushed back at Caleb and Brown. And I even asked the main guy there, I'm like, dude, it's kind of biased. We have, I think, 200 people that have accounts, maybe more, with Caleb and Brown as foundations. So I'll create a blog. I'll send out an email to everybody to participate. Just pay attention for the blog so that you can watch the communications go back and forth. But there was like a couple of years ago, there was four exchanges, and I know one of them was Kraken. So you may want to check that out. Uh, do we have to donate our Iraqi dinars once it revalues to the foundation? Great question. Yes. Do everything in writing. Everything in writing. Make a sale transfer agreement. Actually, when you get your foundation, you get a document to transfer assets. And just make sure when you do that document, you do a notary on it. So it has that date stamped by an officer of the court, which is what a notary is. Valiant, how do I put my property in a foundation? There's no loan, it's paid. If you are living in the private member, I would suggest getting a copy of the deed of trust that we use. And it's self-explanatory. Vehicle, go to AAA and say, I have a company name. This is my company. I'm the executive director over. I'd like to put it into the foundation. Or if you want it out of state, you can go to we have a guy by the name of Bruce. We give you his name and number. You just tell him you're from HISAdvocates. He'll give you a deal on a mailbox in South Dakota, and you can register all of your cars in South Dakota. The reason why I like South Dakota is I don't need to smog, and it's about a fifth of the cost of what it is to register out here in California. You got a new survey and they wouldn't do meets and bounds. What kind of surveyor do you got? Don't hire them unless they do meets and bounds or give you a plot map. Do we donate our racking? Yes, I already did that. What if the IRS wants to know about how much I made in crypto with my LLC, but I have a foundation? Should I still file? Okay, so all the questions I would have, did you purchase it with the LLC? Is there a transaction log, a bank account with showing the purchase? Yes, great. Donate it today to a foundation that we create for you. Donate it today to a foundation that we created to. Transfer it to a device showing that it's been moved over to a hard wallet that's been purchased by the foundation. Yes, the LLC should file any return on any income that it has. But if it's donated something prior to a launch, don't worry about it. Any changes in a foundation, such as director's mission statement, et cetera, should be done and letter notarized. Well, it's just treat it like you would a corporation. You're going to do a minutes kind of a thing within it. The board plus the executive managing director are going to have a conversation. They're going to write it out and vote. And you don't need to necessarily notarize it, but it would. Remember, these are your docs. Nobody's ever going to pull them up and look at them. Nobody's piercing your veil. Okay. You can notarize them or you can just do a witness it. I got your link to buy gold and silver at cost. Oh, listen, guys. Oh my gosh, it's huge. So I sent out an email. Um, yeah, at cost. That spot price is cost. What is the value of silver today? What's the value of gold? What's the spot price of gold? You'll have the same answer. So listen to me. There's a company I registered with. I think it's called At Cost Metals. If you want a link, send an email to support@hisadvocates.org. There's a membership you buy. The membership is 175, something like that. It's annualized, and you're automatically in. If you want to be a part of the Coin a Month Club, that will give you the opportunity to resell their services. If you just want to buy metals, it's a flat membership, annualized. I have bought 100-ounce bars of silver. They are always $200 to $600 more per bar, especially at today's prices. You will see that the price online for silver yesterday or whatever it was $31. You will see on their website you can buy a 100-ounce bar of silver for $3,100 spot cost. I've never seen anything like this. So we got a relationship with them. And again, if you want to be a part of reselling it, you can join the Coin a Month Club. It's like 75, $80 a month. You get a silver dollar. They have another membership. It's like 375. It includes 3 coins and some extra benefits. I did the larger membership, but you don't need that one if you just want to have access annually. Listen, guys, you're never going to get a better deal than this. You go down the street to anywhere and try to buy a 10-ounce, 20-ounce, there's no 20, but 10-ounce, kilo, 100-ounce bar of silver, you're going to find that you're going to pay at least a 10 to 15% premium. It's at cost. So if you're interested, let me get you the existing link right now. Did y'all get the link yesterday? Of course. At cost metals. This is huge. Of course, it's not going to come up. And I am not organized in this particular environment. But hold on, I'm getting it for you. There it is. Let me get my dashboard link. I need the link, anonymous attendee. I need you to have the link, anonymous attendee. Okay, here we go. The link is going into the comment section of this. Go at costmetals.com/code use our referral ID, HISAdvocates. Huge, huge. This is like if you're a big silver purchaser, big gold purchaser, this is it. You're not paying premiums. You're buying a membership. That's how they make their money. Obviously, they bought a ton of gold, a ton of silver a long time ago, and they're into selling members. And now they're just buying huge levels of gold and silver all over the world. And this is how people are participating. All right. So since the Iraqi dinar revaluation will make millionaires, billionaires, we hope, you hope. I sold 30 million in dinar notes 2 years ago. Um, Looked like what happened in Kuwait. What the heck are we going to do to put all that money into banks we trust every 250K? So that's a good question. And, you know, gold, silver, crypto, food, guns, ammo. There's a lot more than just money. Money has to become tangible. Real estate, that's tangible if you're doing the transaction properly. Real estate in California sucks. But I just came up with California real estate solution for people, and I just talked to some guys about that. But I'm telling you right now, the element of you surviving the next cycle of whatever, gold, silver, guns, ammo, food, storage, real estate, and many other things. It's not just cap, money in a capital account. You have to, you know, and I wouldn't trust banks at all. So I'm not going to trust cash money in any account, but I would trust a, USDT on my hard wallet. That's the best way to hold a valuation of something in the future. If you have crypto and you're worried about writing, there's going to be opportunities for you to make money on your crypto, without putting it onto an exchange. And I'm not quite sure how it's going to work out, but keeping it on a hard wallet where you can earn currency, monthly earnings in USDT, in USDC, in Fedcoin, whatever it is you're contracted with. Um, so the best way is a hard wallet digital currency, because that's the future anyway, and not putting it on an exchange as much as possible. And if it is on an exchange, you really need to consider which exchange it is and how many times it maybe have been penetrated or not. All right. Thank you, John. Appreciate you, brother. So it's better to use Caleb and Brown for crypto using a foundation. If you already have an account, yeah, it might be a little bit difficult. So that way the IRS wouldn't be so aggressive with taxes. Um, IRS, so look, guys, if you got a foundation account, the IRS isn't going to be aggressive on anything. They don't have jurisdiction. They're not going to question any of it. Period. You're out. Public, private. It's two different things. Unregistered versus registered. I think people can't get through their minds, and I get it, that they're automatically in jurisdiction of these federal corporations. They're not. You're not. And I really want you to get that through your minds and start living life like you're not. We have an opportunity here to change the scope and landscape of things with the monies that are about to be released and with the cryptos that are about to be revalued. But don't think for a second, you're not going to go through some hardship first. Might go up, might be very positive, and it might hit very hard, coupled with a chip, coupled with a mark, coupled with whatever, Vex, whatever. I just want to say that be prepared. Don't think money in a hard wallet or money is your solution. It's not your end all. Um, Guys are putting things in our food. They're putting things in the air. You have to think through all these things. And we're going to do a town hall. I'm going to try to make it on this weekend again so we can talk through these things with a ton of new VIP members and a ton of new living in the private members. And we need to be thinking through all these things together. So that's just it is what it is. After going through the LPP, do we need to authorize out BC? So it's good. When we first created the LPP, we were utilizing an authenticated BC. It's not necessary anymore, just a certified copy. There are going to be some things we do with the BC in the future. I think you guys are going to love, but we're not releasing it right now. But just know that just a certified copy of the BC and you'll be good to go. Listen, it's 5:20. I'm tired. I've worked all day and I still have stuff to do. So thanks for listening. God bless you guys. I appreciate. Again, I'm going to try to go live tomorrow on a HISAdvocates TV show. Work with me. It's hard to jump back in this game, man. It is. It's hard to jump back in the game and want to tell the truth. But I think tomorrow it's going to be some awesome topics. I'm going to bring forward some videos of people Thank you, Eva. Thank you, Brenda. Belinda. Thank you, Cindy. It's always the women that are so nice. Gosh, oh, there's a guy. Awesome. Thank you. Um, I'm gonna try to break down the optics. And so please consider watching His Advocates TV. But for sure, download the app on your phone, hisadvocates.tv, and log in. It's not the same login as hisadvocates.org. So create a new one if you don't already have an account. But God bless you guys. Thank you so much. And we will see you two Mondays from now, 4 p.m. Pacific, with any questions you guys may have on living in the private. But for now, there's 2,000 more that have been answered on hisadvocates.org. It's got to go to the Q&A and start watching whatever on whatever topics you want. So have a great week.